Hi, thank you very much for your time.
Hi,
Hi, are you okay if I just dive straight in?
go for it.
Okay, so of course we're here today to speak about Longlegs, and obviously from some of the early screenings, the reaction has been explosive with people dubbing it pure evil and some saying it's the next Silence of the Lambs. And I was wondering for you, what has that reaction been like?
Look, it's nice that people seem to be having a good time. It's always a strange thing because I think it's assumed that my intention was to make people feel upset or scared or brutalized or nauseous or horrified or evil or something like that. It's not where I'm coming from. That's not my intention. My intention is to make something that's a good time, do you know? And I think that people are having a good time. Ultimately, I think all of these reviews are equal to it's a good time,
Yeah.
but it's weird to sort of have it put to me like, did you try to really fuck people up? And my answer is like, no, I really didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of it comes down to, in my opinion, Nicolas Cage's character and how he comes across, because he is a really horrifying character in the story. And I was sort of wondering what it was like to work with him and how he sort of got into the mindset of like the serial killer Longlegs.
Nick responded to the script really, really well, and ultimately everything that was in the movie was in the script when he got it. So it what he didn't want to change things. He didn't want to change the dialogue. He didn't want to write his own stuff. He didn't want to riff or improvise. He wanted to just sort of be of service to the text, which was an incredible boost for me. Obviously, puts me in a very different kind of frame of mind when dealing with him because it takes me into confidence and safety, right? I don't need to
Yeah.
worry so much about certain things. And then from then on, he's just a brilliant collaborator. He's extremely diligent. He works extremely hard. He's seen every movie. He can reference every performance. He knows every song lyric that you can throw. Like he's just an animal, and he's also an instrument, right? He's like a Stradivarius mixed with a viol mixed with a tiger, and so it's like when you have that on your side and you just kind of let it do its thing and you trust that it's married to your material, it's not that hard to do.
Yeah. And the reaction to it is magic to watch him on screen. But similarly, Michael Monroe, I mean, her performance is absolutely captivating. I was wondering how she got involved with the project. Did you have her in mind for the character of Agent Harker, or did she audition for it and seem to fit the role?
She met we I met a lot of people, and she was one of the people that I met. She's just she's someone who I've always thought was really fascinating on camera because she's a very minimalist actress, right? So she lets everything kind of flow towards her, and she belies this really interesting kind of inner life, which not everybody can do. It's actually a very hard thing to do, and for her, it's very natural. So she was an obvious choice for this character that has so much going on inside of herself that she doesn't even know what it is. I thought that her stillness and her minimalism would be a really great way to imply that without having to say it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so that leads me nicely on to my next question, talking about like the things going on in her life and what it adds into the story. There's quite a lot of threads and details in Longlegs that all seem to come together at the end to form a wider picture, which I imagine is quite difficult when you're like a writer and a director to make sure that all of those elements get like equal screen time and all come together. And I was wondering how you pulled that off.
I'll probably never know. You do it one stage at a time,
Yeah.
and like with everything, like the myth of the not the myth, but the everybody understands the blank page, right? And at a certain point, the blank page has to then not be blank, and you have to make a decision. And for me, it's like crossword puzzle, right? It's like if you can fucking force your way into having being sure about the answer to one thing, if you can get eight across, you can probably start to guess at other things.
Yeah.
And so for me, I just started with what if it was like Silence of the Lambs? What if people wanted to kind of be invited to do a Silence of the Lambs thing again because that movie was so great and people are so kind of probably hungry for one of those. So I'll just put that in there. And if I got that one, then I can start to align other elements. Do you know what I mean? You can start to build in, and then you've got this crossword puzzle where everything is sort of fitting. Oh, but that wasn't the right answer. It doesn't fit. The letters are
Yeah.
wrong. I'm using it as a pretty obvious metaphor, but that's what it is for me. You're just drafting this puzzle.
No, that's fantastic. And so, speaking of the elements in the film, one thing that I found really interesting that I've not actually really seen in any other horror films was the sort of references to like glam rock and rock in it, with like Dee Snider coming up in it, and obviously the T-Rex reference at the like in the very first scene. And I was wondering why you made that choice in the film because I thought it worked so well, obviously with the satanic imagery and the idea of like the satanic panic at the time that the film took place.
When I'm in the process of writing something or generating something, right? Because it's still my job to generate this world and to put it out onto paper and get other artists and other departments and actors and camera people and to all kind of come together on this text. And in the process of that, it's my obligation, I think, to listen to what is being given to me by the bigger pick, by the, what do you want to call, the universe, or somebody might say God, or some people might say the source, or whatever you want to call it, the stream. When things drop in, you got to pay attention to those. And T-Rex was not a group, or Mark Bolan was not an artist that I really knew very well. But they came in, and it just came into my atmosphere. And I saw it, and I was like, well, this doesn't seem like it's a good fit. Like Silence of the Lambs and T-Rex, like this seems like it doesn't seem like it makes sense. But you know what? I'm going to believe that it does, and I'm going to make it make sense. My job is to say, yeah, okay, I didn't see that coming, but let's see what happens. And then it turns out to be a perfect fit. And that's just trusting the process, as lame as that sentence might sound.
No, I think it does fit really well because it sort of adds to the whole sort of surreal element of the film. And it's something I wanted to ask about actually. There's so much in the film that feels so sort of off kilter. Like I noticed something at the start where like all the trees in one of the scenes seem exactly the same before obviously they go into the house and chase the man down in it. And I was wondering how you achieved such a sort of nightmarish atmosphere throughout the film.
I think the way to do it is to incorporate all kinds of influence and to allow your impulses, your instincts, and your inspirations to be varied and to come from left field and to not say, okay, we're making a serial killer movie, so let's just think about serial killers and serial killer movies. The last thing I was thinking about was serial killers. I don't have any. That's disgusting. I don't have any interest in that. That's appalling. That's like one of the worst corners of human existence. That's very bad. I don't want that shit near me. So just because I'm saying it's a serial killer, that's just an invitation. That's just a door to go through. And once you're in the door, then you start getting into with your other artists, and you're being like, have you seen Uncle Boonme, who's can recall his past lives? Have you seen the work of Gus Van Sant? Have you listened to much Velvet Underground lately? Have you know what I mean? Like you get into different tonalities to make your thing rich. I never said, have you seen The Exorcist? It's just like, no, it's not. That would only lead down a path of genericism, and it wouldn't be
Yeah.
creepy, it wouldn't be weird, and you wouldn't be off balance because everything would be like obvious.
No, absolutely. Well, that brings me to the end of my questions, actually. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks for talking.
Lovely. Have a lovely day.
Yeah.